Hi everyone, this is A Few Words with Friends on Blab TV. I'm Dana Cervantes with Brian Leblanc, and this is Mark Taylor. Hello.
Hello, Dana.
So glad that Mark is with us. Now, Mark is running for state representative for District 2. It's going to be a special election coming up really soon on May 14th, and this is to fill Clay Ford's position after his passing. So you're hot on the campaign trail now, aren't you? You're just working hard. Every time I've been following you on Facebook, and I love watching, the whole platform kind of unfold, and all the people that you have working with you, and I know you're proud of that.
I am. We've got some great volunteers, and we're just excited about what we can do for Northwest Florida. It's an exciting time. Obviously, it's quick, and that's good and bad. Not a lot of time to get in front of people.
And it's not a lot of time. May 14th is going to be here before you know it. Yeah. And one of the big things that you are stressing is jobs. Talk about that.
Definitely. Jobs is the hot ticket, I mean, across the board. But what I'm really, a lifelong Pensacolian, sixth generation, and what's always been frustrating is the lack of regional, working together. It seems like we're the line, when you go from a black trash can to a green trash can, or you go across that bay or whatever, things seem to stop. And I would love to see those walls come down in a regional approach. We've been pushing the Kitty Hawk. We watch Mobile with all these huge winds, and why that's not us. I mean, they've got they have a state income tax. Who would want to go to Alabama with an extra 15% or whatever state income tax? Here in Florida, no state income tax, and yet we're losing all this to Alabama. What are we doing wrong? And we've got to dig into that, and we've got to fight for Northwest Florida. We get, unfortunately, a small share in comparison to South Florida and Central Florida, kind of the redheaded stepchild, if you will, up here when it comes to that.
That's a good way to put it. So, if elected, do you have a game plan, that you're just like, okay, if I get elected, this is how we're going to make this change? Like, what is your plan?
Well, I can tell you one thing, no one will outwork me. I will work so hard for Northwest Florida. And young, energetic, on the go, been successful in business and missionary work, and all over 30 different countries around the world. I mean, that's what we've done, thousands of volunteers. And so I'm going to take that knowledge that I've gained to Tallahassee. The biggest thing is truly just getting the legislature part of it in place, that we're attractive. There was a study done a couple weeks ago that said that we're one of the least small business friendly parts of the entire state of Florida, that Northwest Florida is. And we've got to fix that. We've got to get the regulations backed off. Some regulations are important, don't get me wrong, but the right regulations and under the right terms. We've got to become the most small business friendly place in the country, at least in the state.
And it's going to take a hard-working, enthusiastic, young guy like you, for sure, with a lot of energy and experience, and we're just so excited to see you on the ballot.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Now, in order to get people to fill these jobs, of course, they're going to have a strong education. I also notice that part of the education is on your platform also. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. Thank you, Brian. It's number 2. It's jobs, education, public safety.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. And we've been the poorest county, or one of the poorest counties in the state, for as long as I can remember. And the education is a big part of that. And we can talk. A phrase that I hear a lot is that we overtest and we undereducate. And also when it just comes to just real life common sense and knowledge, sometimes we teach for a test. And not to say testing's not important. Benchmarking is extremely important. But that overall education, the vocational, the workforce training, those type of programs have got to be a huge focus for us if we're going to be able to compete with the rest of the state, with the rest of the country, and really with the rest of the world.
Right, and that because that's, I mean, first you say that we're not business friendly, and then we're poor. I mean, that's not saying too much about. I mean, Pensacola is a great place to live. It really is. But when you look at it, there are a lot of things that have to improve for us to be a premier place to live, and I think that's kind of where you're going with all this.
Certainly. I plan on going nowhere. I'm raising a family here. My mom is here. Like I said, 6th generation. I'm here. Like it or not, I'm here.
You're in it.
I'm here. And and I agree. It's a great place. But we can certainly, there's always room for improvement.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I mean, there are streets that you cross in Pensacola, Northwest Florida, where you literally go from one side to the other.
Right.
And those people might not enjoy Pensacola the same way we do.
Right.
And we have got to see an equivalent quality of life, across the board. I read a lot about the old mayor of St. Pete that just revitalized things. And he said when he finished his 8-year term, the hood wasn't called the hood anymore, and it's just an equal education, equal jobs, you know, just a quality of life that's just great across the board, and it raises the whole region when you see that.
That's
How great
awesome.
would that be for Pensacola?
You're not kidding.
Seriously. And you know, the third part of your platform for this campaign is public safety. You know, you say our residents deserve safe streets, and it just seems to me that crime has just been up.
It has.
And it's scary.
Very much so.
I think we peaked a little bit last year. So far, 2013 has been a lot better.
Yeah.
But we definitely have got to address that stuff head on.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the exact science, the exact answers to those things are. I have some ideas. I know every fall when budget time comes around, Sheriff Morgan and the county commissioners start fighting over dollars for guys on the streets and that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, maybe there needs to be some kind of regulation that says for every 1,000 citizens, you have to have X number of people on patrol on any given shift. You know, I don't know what the answer is to that. I'd love to sit down with Sheriff Morgan and Chip Simmons and all those guys that are on the front lines and figure out what can we do to better enable them to fight crime.
It's a good plan.
That
Definitely. I mean, it's a start, and you're right. I think we did peak last year, and this year seems to be a little bit better. But it kind of is like an ebb and flow to me. It's like it'll be quiet, and then all of a sudden we have all this crime, and it'll be quiet, and you know, it'd be nice just to be quiet all the time. You know, quiet's good.
Well,
This is true.
and it all ties together. The bottom line is the public safety, the crime element is a direct factor of education and a
You're
direct
right.
factor of jobs. And we've got to, just like when you go to the doctor, they treat the symptom, they give you a little something to help fix it, but then they start looking for that root cause.
You're
What can we
right.
do to get that root cause? And these three things address that root cause. And we've got to
Exactly.
work them together, and we've got to
A
grow
little
out
triangle.
of
It's all comes together. You're right.
Now, you had
Exactly.
mentioned, so we were talking about this before we went on the air, about the Kitty Hawk.
this. Yes.
And I would like, I mean, it's exciting to me because, I mean, I love this stuff. Explain a little bit what we're talking about for those that don't understand what Kitty Hawk means or what Kitty Hawk is.
Exactly. Kitty Hawk is a super carrier. It's a whole fleet it's part of the super carrier fleet of the Navy's carriers. We all know the Lady Lexington that we had here. It was a regular carrier, World War II era, flat deck,
Right.
a little bit smaller, 900 feet or so. This thing is like almost 4 football fields. I mean, it is a monster.
Massive.
You would come down I-110, and if you can imagine this island decked out with American flags, you'd be staring right at
I
it
love
coming
that.
through.
That would just be, that would be awesome for the port.
It'd be all for the whole region.
Yeah.
It is truly a regional win. Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, Escambia, Baldwin, Mobile counties.
Yeah.
This thing from 90 to 180 miles away, people would flock.
For sure,
to
because
this.
right now we have, you know, the USS Alabama in Mobile, and lots of people go over there to look at that. Imagine how many people would come to see a supercarrier.
Exactly.
You know.
And likely the only supercarrier.
Right.
Everything else coming up is nuclear powered. So in order to get those reactors out of there, they got to ruin the whole ship, cutting the hulls out.
Right.
So we have the chance of having the only supercarrier in the world as a museum.
And what is keeping us from getting it? Like, what kind of work are you having to do to ensure that we have a chance to get this?
Definitely. Well, we commissioned the Haas Center to do an independent third-party study on the ship. I have seen the rough draft. They're working on the final right now, but the words that they have used are impressive. They've used the words that it will stand on its own 2 feet by ticketed events, not having to continue to put money, government money into
Right.
it. So they are very excited, as am I. Before this show airs, I believe that it will the study will be out there. So
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping that it'll be public and circulated around, and hopefully the News Journal and WAR and everybody else will get behind it. We do need to raise a few more dollars for the study. Haas was fortunate to put us on a payment plan on that, so if
That's
anyone would
good.
like to make a donation, but the numbers look strong. So the next step is going to be to doing a letter from the city, from the county, from the region, to Navy, to NAVC, and requesting that Phase 1 deal, and then that will start negotiation. And then we can get a board, we can get an inspector on there to tell us what it's going to cost to get it in museum-ready condition. We can start, there's 3 phases, and the Kitty Hawk's available in 2016. So we've got 3 years to get our ducks in a row to make this happen. Be
And
a
3
huge
years will
win.
pass by quickly. You know, there's a lot of work to be done in 3 years. And
Well,
you mentioned that
this year's almost halfway
yeah,
through.
you're
as it
right.
is.
It's crazy. And you mentioned that if people would like to make a donation to help this process along, where can they do that?
Probably the easiest way right now would just be to contact me.
Okay.
850-554-5440 is my cell phone. And I'm pretty easy to find right now. I'm out and about. I may even be
He's giving out his cell phone.
I may even be knocking on your door. I've been knocking on a bunch of them. So
Remember this face.
you can ask me about the Kitty Hawk then. And it is a tax, donation, tax deductible donation. So you
And
will,
repeat that phone number one more time.
It's 850-554-5440.
Okay.
And I know that you have a website for your campaign. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
And it is, I'm looking at your, votemarktaylor.com. He'll get you some stickers, some yard signs,
Definitely.
right? You've got all the materials if you want to hop on board and help Mark out with his campaign, which I think we all should, for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
The only chance we have is a grassroots campaign. We're not a highly funded campaign. Social media, yard signs, door-to-door knocking. That's the only chance that we have. And there's 6 candidates, so it's a very crowded field.
Yeah.
As few as 2,500 votes could possibly win this entire election. So we need your vote, and it's really going to make a difference. To talk a little bit about where District 2 is, a lot of people were saying, what is District 2? Where is it?
That's a good question.
If you start in Pensacola at I-10, it's south of the interstate except for one little slither of the city that goes up along Scenic Highway right there. And then it runs along I-10 to I-110. It goes south on I-110 down to like Pensacola Christian College, Home Depot, that area at Brent Lane. Then it shoots west down to Palafox. So follow, it's huge. It's 150,000 plus constituents.
Wow.
And then it takes Fairfield all the way to Perdido Key. So if you're south of the interstate to Perdido Key, and then Gulf Breeze almost to Walmart, about a mile this way of Walmart. So District 2 is a very large area.
If you live in that area, you need to be getting on board with the special election. Remember, it's May 14th. Mark Taylor is running to fill Clay Ford's position since he has passed away, unfortunately. But it's time to carry that on. And your campaign is much like Clay Ford's, or your platform is much like Clay Ford's. I think you told me that, right?
It's very similar.
Very similar.
And just this last Friday night, I was out at the Pensacola Beach Relay for Life, and there was a group of Republican women out there that were doing laps in honor of Clay Ford, and Miss Ford was out there, and it was just a touching, very touching moment. And it was interesting. A couple days later, I got an email pushing some legislature to remove the words, I believe, mental retardation out of the state statutes, out of the Constitution and different statute actually, and replace it with emotional handicap or something. There was another word.
Okay.
And as I started looking into it, Mr. Ford actually had sponsored some very similar legislation a few years ago that didn't go through. And I was thinking, how great that this person's reached out to me for this same stuff, and I would love to sponsor something like that or vote. I think actually there's some stuff happening in the House. I would certainly vote in favor of that. So Mr. Ford was a great, honorable, noble man. It would be an honor to help fill his shoes over there.
So, and then now, how do you find time to balance between the campaign and the Kitty Hawk and your life?
Because we talked about he's young, he is enthusiastic.
Sure. Well, let me tell you a little bit of my story.
Let's hear it.
I'm a local. I actually plan on going in the military. I'm an Eagle Scout and love military type stuff. I started selling real estate in high school with Al Ingram over at Canal and Manzik.
Wow.
And switched over to Remax, did very well with real estate, had gotten my construction licenses to help start a nonprofit called Pensacola World Changers. We've done 105 roofs for free for people in the area, 40 wheelchair ramps. We sponsor hundreds of kids being raised by their grandparents every year at Christmas.
Wow.
A lot of that kind of stuff. So when Hurricane Ivan hit, I had these licenses that were pretty successful, so got more into construction at that point. Then, of course, the recession hit, and they both kind of fell out, both deals. Started an inspection business then that we've grown to 10 employees now with Pensacola Insurance Inspections. And it's not huge, but it's a good business considering the recession. And in May of 2010, I got married. My wife was told since she was 17 years old that she would never be able to have kids. And literally 9 months and 6 days later, Luke was born. So everybody asked me what happened to the first 6 days. I don't know. But
why'd you wait so long?
And now we have number 2 on the way for September. So
That's awesome.
I can't travel the world. I used to go to tsunamis everywhere, doing disaster relief and humanitarian aid. But my focus is here now with my family.
You got work to do in Pensacola.
So there is.
Exactly.
There's a lot to do.
You're not kidding, huh?
Mark Taylor, State Representative for District 2, special election on May 14th. Go to votemarktaylor.com, and you can learn more about Mark and how to get in contact with him if you'd like to hop on board. Also learn about how you can support the Kitty Hawk getting here to Pensacola as well. Mark, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your platform and your campaign and your thoughts on the Kitty Hawk, and we wish you the best of luck.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Brian.
This message is paid for and approved by Mark Taylor, a Republican for House